Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Brad Browning, YouTube's #1 breakup coach and best-selling author. Now, this video is going to be all about how to reconnect with your ex after a period of no contact ends. It's a critical time in the process of starting over with your ex. You need to get started on the right foot after no contact ends. So in this video, I'll explain how to properly reach out and start talking to your ex again in order to get them back. Now, obviously, before you put the tips and strategies that I'm going to talk about in this video into practice, you do need to finish a period of no contact. Now, for most people, that's going to be around 30 days or so, although sometimes you might need to go, slightly shorter or slightly longer than that, depending on the situation. Now, if you only do a half-assed job of no contact or you don't stick to it for long enough, you're not going to have as much success with the reconnecting and using the tips that I'll be sharing in a minute. So don't skip out on no contact or think that you can use the tips and messages that I cover in this video without employing no contact first, because they won't work as well or maybe work at all. Also, before you do start reaching for your phone and contacting your ex, please take my free quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz and read over the personalized recommendations that you'll see on the quiz results page. Now, those will give you an idea of whether your period of no contact was long enough and what kind of mindset your ex is in to gauge how likely they are to respond positively when you do reach out. So take that quiz for free after the video's over at breakupbrad.com/quiz. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about how to reach out to your ex once your period of no contact is over. First of all, how should you contact them? Should you call, text, send a messenger pigeon? Most of the time, it's best to send your ex a text message or a WhatsApp, Instagram message. Just use, whatever messaging app that you normally did when you were still together. Texting allows you to think about what you want to say in advance, and it ensures that you actually do write exactly what you want to say. You can take time to think it over, and you won't find yourself caught off guard if your ex says something unexpected, which of course is a definite possibility with a phone call or an in-person meeting. Now, texting is also best because it's casual and non-threatening. Since you haven't spoken to your ex in quite a while at this point, a random phone call from you is going to come across as suspicious on your ex's part. They might not pick up at all, kind of being worried that you're trying to call and convince them to give you another chance. Or they might just be busy when you call. It's just likely that showing up or calling in person is going to set off alarm bells or come across as too strong. So stick to texting or messaging where possible. Don't worry though, because you will be using these first messages to break the ice and set up a future call or ideally an in-person meetup. It's just important to start slow and non-threatening to sort of break the ice. So when your period of no contact is over and you're ready to start thinking about what to say to your ex in your first message, there are a few things to keep in mind. Now, I can't stress how important these tips are. You must follow them if you want to ensure that your message is well received and achieves what you want it to. So rule number 1, short and sweet. Do not send your ex, a lengthy text or a series of 15 texts in a row. Limit yourself to a few sentences at most, and don't expect or aim to use this as a text message as a full-blown conversation opener. You're breaking the ice here, not trying to win them back in a single message. So definitely don't try to do too much and always keep it brief. Rule number 2, positive and fun. So do not use the initial message to your ex after no contact to talk about anything serious or anything related to the breakup or your relationship. Your period of no contact helped your ex let go of negative memories and negative aspects of your relationship, and bringing up old drama or getting into a serious talk about things is just going to remind them of the problems that led to your breakup. Think about it this way. If your message is likely to make your ex smile, laugh, or feel good, then it's a good message. If it's going to bring up any old drama, if it's going to bore them or make them suspect you've got ulterior motives, that's bad. Now, later in the video here, I'll share some examples of some good messages, so stick with me for a minute and we'll give you some ideas on what to say in this first message. Rule number 3, don't get dragged into anything. So if your ex replies to your first message after no contact, you're probably going to be pretty excited. You may be tempted to immediately respond to their message and start, a back and forth conversation. But this is not something you really want to do at this point. In some rare cases, you may be able to respond a few times if things are going really well and your ex is into it, but this is usually not a good idea. So whatever you do, don't reply immediately to your ex's messages. And if they respond to your first text right away, wait an hour or two before you respond again, if you do need to reply at all. And as we already mentioned, don't let yourself get dragged into any kind of serious conversations or drama. Rule number 4, have a legitimate reason to contact them. Now, this is one of the simplest, but also the most important tips. So don't message your ex unless you can come up with some kind of plausible reason for contacting them. That means you don't want to just say, hey, how's it going? Or what have you been up to? Or anything like that. I think that should already be obvious from the first 3 rules that I already mentioned, but I do want to stress it again. And when I say, you should have a legitimate reason, that doesn't necessarily mean, need to be difficult. As you'll see from some of the example messages that I'm going to cover shortly, something as simple as finding a funny meme online that your ex will appreciate is enough of a reason to message them. Or it can be because you have a question you think they can help you answer, because you want to, share an update to a situation that you talked with them about when you were together, etc. Just don't send them a pointless message that has no real value or reason for them to respond. And lastly, I should mention that you always want to keep the overall objective of this initial contact in mind. If you lose sight of your goal, which of course is to establish a bit of friendly rapport with your ex and show them how well you're doing since the breakup, you might be tempted to keep the conversation going, accidentally appear too eager or too needy, or you might simply try to do too much too quickly and have to restart another period of no contact for a week or 2 before you can try again. Now, the only person who can really think of a good message to send to your ex, one that will make them laugh, smile, or want to hear from you again, is you. You know your ex best, and you know what's going to achieve that. But I am going to give you 3 example messages to sort of spark your imagination and give you some inspiration. Now, you'll want to adapt these to your situation and personalize them for your ex, of course. So example message number 1 is the meme text. Now this one is simple. You just need to scour Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, etc. and find a really good meme that reminds you of a memorable moment you shared with your ex, and then share it with him or her. You could say something like, does this remind you of anything? And then just, attach the photo. Now this is particularly effective if you're worried that your ex may not respond or may want to, not want to hear from you yet. By sending just a funny meme, it's clear that you're just sharing it to make them smile or laugh, and that a reply isn't necessary if they're not ready for it yet. Now this also has almost 0 chance of backfiring on you. The only challenge, of course, is finding a suitable meme or funny video that your ex will understand and actually appreciate. But it is a good message that's quite often effective at sort of just laying the groundwork for future conversations in a non-threatening way. An example message number 2 is the guru text. Now this one might not necessarily make your ex smile or laugh when they read it, but it's still a great choice that your ex is very unlikely to be suspicious of. In fact, it actually has the added benefit of stroking their ego a bit as well, and also giving you something to talk with them about later, which you can use to contact them again down the road as a legitimate follow-up. Anyway, the guru text just involves asking your ex a question about a topic that they're knowledgeable about or passionate about. So maybe they play the piano and you've been wanting to learn how to play yourself, so ask them where to find the best video tutorials online or learn new songs. Or maybe they're a physiotherapist and you want to ask if physio treatments can help with your ongoing wrist problems. Or even just send them 2 photos of different paint colors and ask them which they think would look best for the walls of your new home office. Just try to pick a topic that they're knowledgeable and passionate about, and try to make it obvious that you're genuinely looking for their input because you respect their opinion and their expertise. Now, if you can tie in a little mystery into your message by leaving out some details or leaving the door open to potentially turning this into a longer in-person conversation later, that's great. An example message number 3 is the inside joke update text. So finally, this one, the inside joke update message. For this one, you really need to think about something that you and your ex talked about quite a bit when you were still together. So for example, maybe there was a crazy lady who used to walk past your house late every night singing to herself, and it became, kind of a running inside joke between the 2 of you. Well, now is a good time to update your ex on the crazy singing lady since the breakup. So for example, you could say, remember crazy opera singer lady? You won't believe this, but I just ran into her at the subway station this morning, and she was performing with a band, a full band, and they weren't even bad. No idea why she's so awful singing at 3 a.m. Now, obviously, this example sounds super cheesy when I say it aloud here, but when you can come up with something that your ex will actually understand and appreciate, it works really well and it almost never backfires. The key is to make sure you pick something that your ex will actually remember and want to hear about. And ideally, it should be true if possible, because lying can get you into trouble later on if your ex finds out. Now, you may need to exaggerate slightly to make it sound more interesting, but I always recommend being as truthful as possible. Now, those are 3 examples. If you need more help coming up with messages that will make your ex smile, laugh, and want to respond to you, well, you can either sign up for my X Factor program right now to see a number of additional examples that are included in the program, or you can sign up for my one-on-one coaching so we can talk things over and come up with a plan and a message that will actually help you get them back. Learn about my coaching and my availability currently at breakupbrad.com/coaching. And of course, I'll put links to both the coaching and the X Factor program in the description below. Now, while most of what I've covered in this video is focused on the first message you send to your ex after no contact, which is often the hardest and the most important, most of the same rules also apply to future communication with your ex thereafter. So just because your first message went over well and your ex responded positively, that doesn't mean that you should start spamming them or jump right back into serious talks about getting back together or anything remotely like that. Slow and steady wins the race, and all of your contact with your ex needs to be positive and enjoyable for them. So no arguments, no drama, no jealousy, and so on. Just conversations that are interesting, friendly, upbeat, and fun. Think back to the early days with your ex when you still, had just started dating or were still getting to know one another. Back then, you probably didn't bicker or talk about the future of your relationship. You just had fun together, flirted, and enjoyed one another's company. If you could recreate that type of atmosphere in the first few weeks after reestablishing contact with your ex, you're going to be well on your way to winning them back for good. Now, I can't stress enough how important it is to always show your ex a good time when you're texting back and forth, when you're meeting in person or chatting on the phone. Your goal is to flirt, build sexual tension, and make them laugh or smile as much as possible. The more they see you being positive, making them laugh, and just generally being the person that they fell in love with back in the beginning of your relationship, the more they'll remember how good those early days were and why they fell for you in the first place. So make them want to be around you, talk to you, flirt with you, and they're going to be powerless to stop themselves from feeling attracted to you again, and eventually they're going to cave into those feelings and ask to take you back. Now, at first, your communication after no contact is likely to be via text messages, and that can continue, for a few weeks if necessary. But the goal should be to use those chats and back and forth messages to get to a point where you can meet up with them in person for a coffee date. Now, you need to wait, until they're going to say yes when you do suggest that kind of meetup, and you should again have a legitimate sounding reason why you want to see them in person, but that should be the goal moving forward. Texting is great, and reestablishing a positive connection with those early messages is going to help you set the stage for an in-person meeting. That's when you really crank up your flirting and you turn one meetup into a second one and then a third one where you head back to your ex's place for Netflix and chill, etc. Now, for a lot of my clients, those first messages and getting to the point where you can meet up again in person and flirt and build sexual tension are the hardest part, which is why I've been focusing on that in this video. For more advice on what to do when you're seeing your ex in person again, or how to close the deal, so to speak, and turn in-person hangouts into a real relationship again, please go to breakupbrad.com and watch my full tutorial video. If you haven't learned enough from that video on my website, come back here to my channel on YouTube and search for videos on meeting up with your ex and convincing them to take you back. All right, I'm going to wrap this video up here, but I hope you've learned enough to feel confident when messaging your ex after no contact ends. And if you follow the advice that I've covered, you'll be in good shape. As always, feel free to sign up for my one-on-one coaching to get personalized help, or leave a comment below if you've just got a quick question for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon.